Hey everybody, I'm Jim Ingersoll, and I want to welcome you back to the Real Estate Success Podcast today. I got another good buddy on today from beautiful Pittsburg, Pennsylvania area, up there near Lake Erie. He huddles between Erie, Pennsylvania, and the trek down to Pittsburg, Pennsylvania. His name is Jerry, and you're going to love him. I'll have him on in a second here. I want to welcome everybody back. Thank you guys for hitting the subscribe button, for sending me comments in my website, and for the reviews in iTunes. I greatly appreciate it. I have a lot of gratitude for all of our listeners who are making this happen. I've received some really nice emails and Facebook messages and stuff back lately, and I'm glad you guys are making it all happen. So today we're going to talk about Jerry's journey from being a high school teacher to finding a really fast path to true financial freedom, and he did that all through cash flow. So Jerry, welcome to Real Estate Success. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Jim. Good seeing you again.
Good to see you again as well. I miss you guys. You got a beautiful family with your wife and your daughter and everybody here in Virginia. It's nice to connect again.
Yes, it is.
Take me back a little bit, because you've got a great story, like back starting when life threw you a whole bunch of obstacles in 2008.
Sure.
You lost some of your net worth really quickly, but then you found a path to real estate to build it all really back fast as well.
Right. Yeah. In 2008, as a school teacher, the only thing I knew was real estate. And, I was hoping that, or not real estate, I'm sorry, the stock market and my pension. Those were the two things I was relying on to retire. I didn't think Social Security would survive at that point, and it probably still won't. I mean, I'm not there yet, but it's not. There's not much there to look forward to. So, in 2008, when the market crashed, I lost half my portfolio.
Ouch.
And my broker said, "Just stay the course, stay the course." And it's like, I was 50 years old at the time. I can't recover the way I need to from this.
How quickly did you lose half your portfolio? Do you?
It was over a period of about 3 months. When the first big wave hit, I should have jumped out. But what do they tell you? Stay the course. Stay the course. Right. That's all they know.
That's the financial planners telling you that, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I listened to their advice for about 3 months, and when I did half, it's like, you know what? I said, I'm going to leave what I can in there. I'm going to borrow what I can without penalty, and I'm going to put it to work myself. So I went on the hunt for a couple of mentors, found one up in Erie, great guy. He kind of opened my eyes to the real estate business. He wasn't a good teacher, though. So I in 2011, I kind of muddled along for about 3 years. But in 2011, I went on the hunt for a mentor. I knew I needed a mentor, so I found a really good one.
You didn't give up when you struggled for 3 years? Good for you.
Yeah, well,
everyone thinks this real estate thing is just snap your fingers and you're set. Jump on an island and go to the beach. But for me too, Jerry, when I started investing in real estate, I struggled at everything I did until I gained momentum, and it took a little time. So I'm glad to hear that you hit those obstacles, but you decided to go right through them. You didn't give up.
Right. I had a few successes there, but nothing life-changing. Nothing was really happening. And
right.
In any event, in 2011, I found a really good mentor, and then a year later, I just walked into my principal's office and said, you know what? I don't need this job anymore. I'm doing so well in real estate that I really need to leave here to focus on that. So I told him this is going to be my last year, my swan song. So I was ready to go.
So you fired yourself.
Yeah.
And what did your principal say to you? Like, Jerry, do I have to check your pulse? Are you okay? Do you need an EKG? I mean. Yeah,
he couldn't believe it. He told me, he says, Jerry, you don't have the years or the pension to retire. And I said, retirement has nothing to do with years or time on the job. It has to do with money, right? So I said, I don't need the money from this job anymore. I've kind of established myself in real estate with cash flow. That was my major thing. Jim, up north, we don't appreciate like the South does. You have these big swings up and down. You
I
know,
mean, I'm from Jamestown.
yeah.
So Jamestown, New York, I mean, the houses are still worth $35,000 to $55,000, right?
I buy them like that all the time. I bought one yesterday, $12,500. I
Wow.
bought one yesterday, and the only thing I need to do is rip the carpet out, see what floors underneath. I might have to put new carpet in and paint, and that's it. It should sell for. Well, I do a lot of owner financing, so it should sell for around 50, 55, somewhere in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. But in any event, I was in this dilemma of I was still teaching, but I started making really good money in real estate and decided to move on. So, and so what I found and what I teach is cash flow. I teach mitigating risks. I'm going to share with you. That's what I do. My average time on the market for my properties is typically about 3 weeks, in and out. And I don't touch them for probably the first 30 days. If it doesn't sell within 2 weeks, then I'll go in, I'll clean them up. But I don't do hardly anything else until I realize, okay, this one's going to need a little bit of help, to get it marketed, And then what I do, I typically get like a wholesaler's fee on the front end, but I stay in the deal and I create that cash flow. So I work 20 to 30 hours on a property, marketing it and talking with buyers and things like that. But then I get paid for anywhere from 5 to 30 years, depending on how I set up the financing for it.
That's kind of a nice deal, isn't it? So you get some money on the front end so you can eat today, makes your family happy.
Yep.
And then you get paid forever, for a long time.
Yep, exactly.
So your model is to buy cheap houses, sell them as is with owner financing.
Right. And when we say cheap houses, I do buy homes at 12.5. We had 2 under contract that they fell through, but they were each 115,000 is what we were going to end up spending on those. So, but I stay within that first time home buyer. My sale homes are typically 50 to about 250,000. I stay in that market.
Right.
And, you find swings where sometimes you're buying nothing but $100,000 homes. Right. And then other times you're buying homes less than 50,000, but in any event, it doesn't matter to me. As long as I'm in that first time home buyer pool, I feel comfortable.
Okay. I mean, that's a great model. So, how do you find these really cheap houses? What's working for you in 2018?
I do a number of different things. I've always believed in multiple marketing. What kicked me over the hump initially was bandit signs.
Right.
I was doing tons of bandit signs. I was putting out about 100 a week.
100 per week. Now that's massive action, Jerry.
Well, yeah, you got to. You got to. That gets the phone ringing. Nothing really happens if the phone's not ringing.
Right.
So I was doing about 100 a week, putting them out faithfully, and really working my tail off. And I was still teaching at the time. I was putting 55 hours a week in teaching as well. So I'd go to school, and if I didn't have appointments that day, I'd be out putting out bandit signs. If I had appointments, I'd go to the appointment, and then while I was in that area, I'd put more bandit signs out, So
are you still using bandit signs this year?
I do. I never gave up on them. They always continue to work for me. It's weird, Jim. I've got some out in the country, and I remember last year I put a house together on a sign that I put out over 3 years ago, and it's still out there.
Wow.
It's still out there, which is kind of rare, but I was thrilled with that. It's like, where did you see that? Oh, it was out here. Wow. It's like, oh my gosh, that sign's still out there, so it works out. But
I still
do
like to place your bandit signs. What works well for you there in Pennsylvania?
The thing that works the best, and this is what people give up on, is they get set on putting bandit signs in one area. And I did the same thing.
Yep.
I did the same thing. There were certain areas where I knew my bandit signs were working. And I always ask them, how did you find me? How did you find me? And they say, well, I saw a bandit sign here, there, or here. And so I was putting them in similar areas. Then when it slowed down, it's like I didn't know what to do, and all I had at that time was bandit signs. I didn't really have any other marketing, so I started putting them in other areas, and all of a sudden there was a flurry of calls. So my advice is if you're out there putting out bandit signs in the regular areas again and again, you may want to try taking a different route. You know,
Right.
we all get stuck in those habits, you know.
Yep.
And I found that once I started putting them out in different locations, moving them outside of town a little bit where they would stay up longer, but all of a sudden you'd get a flurry of calls. Any new area I went into, there was a flurry of calls. So I liked that, and I kind of started doing that, which is now why I go from Erie to Pittsburg. You know, it's a 3-hour.
How many bandit signs do you currently have out, would you guess?
I probably have, they get picked up pretty fast these days. But there's probably, at any one time, there's probably at least 100 of them still out there.
That's a lot. So that's an aggressive marketing plan.
Yeah. But I don't put them out as much as I used to. I mean,
does the phone number a Google Voice number, or what number do you put on them?
I use Ring Central.
A Ring Central, so you can track your marketing that way, right?
Exactly.
That works out really well. You're happy with Ring Central?
I use Ring Central, and then I started with CallRail also.
Yes, I have a lot of people are using CallRail.
Yeah, Ring Central, the interface is kind of clunky.
Gotcha.
It's kind of hard to navigate. It's a lot easier for me to use Ring Central. You know.
So with Ring Central, you can have one number for bandit signs on the east side, another number for bandit signs on the south side. I mean, so you can have multiple numbers and really dial in your marketing.
Yeah, you can track it. And one other thing I want to recommend also is the area codes in Erie are different than Pittsburgh, so you really need to use a local area code. And another thing, even in Pittsburgh, depending on if you're on the north side or the south side, they have 2 different area codes down there also.
I know
that. Yeah. So you've got to be sensitive to that, because it's a different culture between the north and south side of Pittsburgh. You know, so
they got their own little Mason-Dixon line going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, all right. So where do you like to place your bandit signs, Jerry? Do you like put them on the corner? Do you staple them to the telephone poles? Do you put them on vacant lots? I mean, how do you like to approach that?
You know, if I see, you know, I do driving for dollars also.
Yeah, I do too. I love it.
And whenever I see a property that I notice it's abandoned, you know, the gas meter is gone, I'll put a couple bandit signs in that yard, you know. But I typically put them on telephone poles. I do have the H hangers, so if I'm in an upscale neighborhood, I'm going to use the H hangers, and I'm going to put it so it's going to look like a realtor sign.
Yeah.
But if I'm just out and about, a lot of times I'm putting them on a telephone pole. I got a funny story to tell you. Putting one on one time, and every now and then you'll get heckled. You know, someone will call up, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know. So I'm hammering this thing up there, and I hear this guy behind me goes, "Hey, you can't put that sign there. You know, you got to take it down." And I turned around, and it was a police officer. And I says, "Officer, I'm so sorry." I said, "Should I put it on that pole over there?" And he laughed. He laughed. He says, "I'm just giving you a hard time. Go ahead." And I put it up, and I left. He didn't say anything. So, you know, it's funny because all cities have codes for these, you know, but he didn't give me a hard time. He let me put it up, and then unfortunately the code violation officer called me like 2 days later, said, "Hey, you got to get this sign down." So I did go back down and take it down. I just put it in another area, you know.
Yeah, just move it around. I like the idea of putting them in vacant houses like that. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? The guy that owns the house calls you?
Exactly.
That's the best thing.
Yeah. He's like, "What are you doing putting these signs in my yard?" And I says, "Well, I saw it was abandoned. This is a good way for me to talk to you because I want to buy your house." You know, so
let me mow the grass.
Yeah, you got to kind of have a little bit of fun with it, you know. So, but it worked out. It works out, you know. And yeah, you do get calls. People get upset sometimes, and I just tell them, you know what? Sometimes they're so upset they call you and they get this sign out here and they hang up. It's like I have no idea where it was. Right. But if I do know where it is, I will go back out. I'll move that sign. I don't want to create waves with anybody. You know, I don't want anybody angry.
So with 100 signs, how often do you get calls from bandit signs on average?
Well, it's slowed down recently. You know as well as I do, the market's a lot hotter right now.
It is.
You know, so bandit signs has slowed down considerably. I still do them. I'll get 1 or 2 calls a week on my bandit
so
signs.
that's pretty good, I think, actually. So out of the 1 or 2 a week, I mean, how do the conversations typically go? I mean, do you like screen them? Do you get their contact? How do you like to approach it when they call you?
Okay, well, depends on where you are in your career. Early on, all I wanted to do was set an appointment and go out and see the house.
Yeah.
Now I do a little more screening. If
I
they're
think
looking
that's
for,
smart.
yeah, if they're looking for full retail, I'm not their buyer, and I'm quite honest with them. I'll tell them, you know, try listing it with a real estate agent. You don't need to sell right away. You're asking full price. I had a conversation. As a matter of fact, yesterday I had a conversation. A woman called up. She goes, I just paid for an appraiser to come out. You know, he told me my property's worth $115, and that's what we're wanting to get for the property. And I said, you know what? List the property with an agent. If it sells in a year, great. If it doesn't, keep my number. I'm always prepared to do cash offers and things like that. That's kind of how the conversation goes. But if I sense any motivation at all, I'm going to clear my calendar and I'm going to go out.
So if they tell you, like, you know, I'm getting divorced, or we just inherited the house, or I've got some code violations, I mean, how do you sort of detect that motivation?
You know what? When I'm on the phone, I'm not answering questions. I'm asking them. If they ask me a question, well, how does this work? Well, I buy houses. You know, tell me a little bit about your house. You know, I'm asking open-ended questions, and I'm kind of asking them for information. And in just a few minutes, you know as well as I do, you'll be able to determine if there's motivation there. They'll let you know. You know, this couple that I spoke with yesterday, they didn't need to sell in a hurry. They'd taken the time to pay for an appraiser to come out. There's not a lot of motivation there to get things done quickly. But I
like that because it starts here. It starts with your ears, right?
Exactly. The biggest question is why. Listener. You know, why are you selling? Why are you selling? And that'll.
That's one of your favorite questions.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the first ones I get to.
Yep. So if you detect the motivation, then you go out there. Are you looking to make cash offers? Do you like them to finance it because then it's easier for your model? I mean, what's your ideal seller?
Well, ideally now, I like the owner financing. If I can create owner financing, I will do that. You know, over
with
any
smile
other.
On your face.
Yep. Yeah. If I know they own it free and clear, I know there's a good chance I can get some, if not all, of the owner financing. So yeah, I like the owner financing. I don't mind buying subject to. I still buy subject to. And then of course cash. That's my last option. And a lot of times with cash, I don't like using my own money, so I'll bring partners in.
Yeah.
I'll bring partners in to help with that. Now they're, you know, I do stuff in my IRA now also, you know that. And with a lot of those, I'll buy those with my IRA and then I'll go fund them later. I'll fund them later, try to replenish the coffers so I can, you know, but I like that model a little better. If I'm going to pay,
so you usually make a couple of offers to the seller. Do you like to give a lower cash offer and then a little higher seller finance offer?
I tell you what I do, Jim.
Just go to seller financing and let them say no, and then back into the cash.
Yeah. What I always do first is I always work to get my best price. We're always talking price first. So I'm working that, trying to get my best price. And at that point, then I start in, okay, this is how I can hit this number. And typically it's going to be owner financing. Okay. Then if they want cash, yes, I'll say, okay, if we're going to do a cash offer, I'm going to be here. So on a $100,000 home, for a cash offer, I'm typically not going to go above around 50,000, you know, about half, you know. And those are hard to come by these days.
They are.
But if you have the phone ringing enough, you'll find them. That's the key, you know. So
I always say NSM, never stop marketing.
Right.
That's the wide net, right?
Yep.
So
and we do multiple. We do multiple marketing now.
Yeah. So we talked in depth about bandit signs, but I think if you're going to cast a wide net, you're going to do all kinds of things. You might be cold calling, you might be doing direct mail, you might be doing a whole bunch of stuff with virtual assistants. It all helps.
Yeah, we're doing direct mail now. We're also doing, I'm the radio guy.
I know.
So I do radio advertising too, and that helps also. Did you ever use that?
I did.
All right.
Not currently, but yes, I have.
Okay,
I like to try everything.
Yeah, and it goes hot and cold. It goes hot and cold. You run it for a month, and then so wait, and then run it for a month, and so. But yeah, I do multiple forms. We're doing a Facebook push right now. I've got a VA working on that. So we're going to be doing some Facebook marketing, and we're even contemplating pay-per-click, but boy, that can get
expensive.
Yeah.
So then you get a contract signed with the seller, and they say, all right, Jerry, you can have the house for $60,000. What kind of interest rate are you trying to get on that?
If they're doing the financing, you mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What I typically do, I ask them, where are you going to put the money?
Right.
That's a good
Fortunato question, isn't it?
Yeah. What are you going to do with the money?
Yeah.
So, if they're just going to put it in the bank, what are they making now? 0.09 of
1%. Yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, I typically don't even bring up interest. I don't bring that up.
That's how you get 0%.
Right. So, I'll just divide it out and say, okay, I'll pay X amount for so many.
So if they want 60 grand and I really want no interest, which I love 100% amortization.
Right.
I would say something like, how about we do this? I'll give you $60,000 for this 2 or 3 bedroom house. And I'll give you $600 a month for 100 months. How does that sound? Does that sound good to you?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I approach it. You're similar?
Yeah, I do the same. And I remember a number of times, we'll have the contract, I'll be driving home, and they'll call me and they'll say, hey, my friend told me I need to get some interest.
Yeah.
And I'll say, okay. I said, I'll tell you what, this is what we're going to do. We've got a 10-year loan on this thing. I'll give you 3 extra payments on the back end. How's that?
I like that.
So a lot of times they'll say, no, I need 5. It's like, whatever, when you do it that way, you're really helping your own cause there, Now, if they want interest on the loan the entire time, then I'll say, where are you going to put it? And they'll say in the bank. It's like, okay, we can match that,
So now you have the house under contract, you've got your acquisition made, and then the next part of your cash flow to freedom journey really is selling that same property for more money and at a higher interest rate.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
So how do you work that piece of your equation?
Well, my properties sell so fast. I typically have a buyer lined up before I actually go to the closing. So, but what I do is I do bandit signs again. I'll put signs on the house. I'll put directional signs around the house. And then I'm going to all the Walmarts, the Home Depots, the marketplaces, restaurants, and I'm putting signs out there with a number to direct them to the house. I don't want that number coming to me, so I'll direct them to the house and just tell them once you're at the house. What do your
signs say? Are you taking like the yellow ones in handwriting?
I have a handwritten font that I order. So all I'm doing is writing the telephone number in.
Gotcha. What does your sign say?
It just says owner finance, must sell, no bank needed, and then and then I'll put in like 3-2 and a telephone number.
Yeah, and I would add like why rent with a question mark.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
You can buy and own this house for cheaper than you can rent it.
Right. And typically we do that. Typically, as well as I do, we can sell a home where the monthly payments are quite a bit less than rent. You know? So
that's how you keep your defaults down.
Yeah.
So now you've got the new buyer says, all right, I'm going to buy this house. What does the rate to them look like? Is it like 8% or what do you 10% or how much?
I usually start at 9.99%.
Gotcha.
And then if they want me to come down at all, they'll say, oh, that interest rate's too high. And it's like, well, okay, can you put some more money down? If I can get some more money down, I'll run this to the investors and I'll fight for you for the best interest rate. but just understand, with more money down, they're more flexible on the negotiation as far as the interest rate.
Right.
So but I typically start at 9.99%. Look at the banks, Jim. We have Citibank.
Yeah.
They'll lend at 4.5%, but if you don't have good credit, they send you to One Main Financial, which is their sister company, and they're at 12 to 18%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
a money lender.
yeah. So we look at their credit score, but I always start at 9.99%.
Excellent. So if you have financing on the house with the seller, and then you create another financing trail with your buyer, do you do that on a wrap, or do you do it on a second? How do you handle that, or do you do it on a lease option?
And up here, I do typically lease options.
Okay.
The reason being is we're a long foreclosure state up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do a lot of lease options, and I like it. In February, for them to continue, I mean, I'll carry them the full 30 years on a lease option and sell them the property for $1. And I've done that. I've done that. We've had a couple of people that had like 5 and 7 year loans, not loans, lease options, and they continue to put money down. And after so many years, I just sell them the property for $1.
Right.
But typically every February, I ask for another $1,000 to continue that option. Okay. And now why in February? That's when people are getting their tax money back. It's easy for them.
All right. So I learned that from Walter Wolford, and he said that's the easiest time of the year to get a nice deposit. So you ask for it every February, which is really smart.
I love February.
You can buy your wife a beautiful Valentine's.
Exactly. Yeah. But I do it every year to renew their option. And I like that plan. I wish I would have learned that from you and Walter. That's one that I just made up on my own.
I like it. It is
mainly because I found
a year for somebody to give you some extra money because of those tax returns.
Right. And that's why I like buying in December when nobody's buying in December.
Also my favorite month of the year to buy.
Yep. I love buying then.
I think the New Year's, I load up as much as I can.
Yep. If a home needs cleaned out or something like that, like I said, I don't touch them for 30 days. But when I'm buying in December, there's not a lot of buyers out there. So that gives me time to send my folks in there to clean the property out, paint it if we need to, and then get it ready for that February swell of buyers hitting the market.
Yep. No, I agree. That's good. So then you create so then you get the down payment. So you get some money for now. How much down payment can you get on a lease option in Pennsylvania these days?
Well, that depends on you, but typically I get if I'm not getting 5,000 down, I'm not putting them in the home. Yeah.
That's a good option. I mean, that's a lot of skin in the game. So they get an option to buy, they get a lease. It's 2 separate documents, right?
Correct.
So if something goes wrong, you can take one or the other.
Right.
And then you make a monthly spread.
Yep.
And you're on your journey to financial freedom and cash flow for life.
That's right. Now, the one thing I will say is, people run into problems, and we will bend over backwards as long as they have a plan. Yeah, we're going to work with them. We will work with them. We've done it numerous times with numerous people. As long as they have a plan. Now, if the plan is I'm just not going to make payments, now I've got to go into action. But as long as they have a plan and it's a viable plan that'll work for us, we'll bend over backwards for our clients. I don't want the houses back. I don't want them back. I want.
Is that so bad, right? I mean, if you have to evict somebody and you take it back, can't you just collect another $5,000 option fee and rinse and repeat again?
Yeah. Yes,
that's
we can
like
do that.
Your worst case risk point, I would imagine.
Yeah, and we do that. I mean, we probably get I don't know 3 to 5% back every year. We get
Not
some
much.
back, and typically it's a separation. And the couple that's there, the 2 that we just got back, a couple of weeks ago, the exact same scenario. The couple separated. And individually, they just couldn't afford the price of the home, so they left. And This is another thing we do, is if they help us sell the property, we'll get a substantial portion of their down payment back to them. Not all of it, but a nice portion of it back to them. We can't do that all the time, because sometimes, you have a buyer coming in with not that much down, and the folks that were in there put a nice chunk down, and so it kind of varies. But yeah, as long as they're willing to help us sell the property, which means they're gonna, when we send them there, they're gonna say nice things about the neighborhood, what they like about the house, making it available and making sure it's clean. Then we'll work with them to get 1,000 or 2,000 back to them.
So this is a really nice model that you've created, and I love the fact that you're like super focused on it. This is like a niche. Like so many real estate investors, they go an inch deep and a mile wide, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you've gone like an inch wide and you've gone a mile deep.
Right.
And that mile deep is what's created really your financial freedom. Think back. I mean, 2008 wasn't that many years ago, Jerry. 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know. What a change. What a change.
How has real estate really changed your life? Your lifestyle, your mindset, your happiness, right?
Yeah, it really has. It was funny in 2013. Like I said, I met my mentor in the end of 2011. And 2013, I was pretty much done. In the beginning of 2013, and I told my wife, she was working at the time also. I said, we're making enough money now. Go ahead and quit your job and come home. And she said, no. She said, if you quit first, I know you'll get out there and buy a whole bunch more houses, and then that'll get me retired faster. She says, if I retire, it's going to take you much longer time to get yourself retired, So I'm like, okay. We talked about that for a while, but she convinced me that she was right. And so I went and I told her, I said, I need 10 more houses. That's it. 10 more houses with the cash flow will, take care of the job that you currently had. So 6 weeks later, I had her retired. I bought 10 homes in 6 weeks,
So this reminds me of like Kevin and Tammy, who are very good friends of yours as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So I remember Kevin Straub saying, all right, so he had like the little green Monopoly houses and he would just shuffle them over. Right?
Yeah.
You had to create 10 little green houses and you had financial freedom.
But he literally used those little Monopoly houses on his little whiteboard.
Right.
Tray. Yeah. That was
visual.
Yep. He just moved them over one at a time as he would buy a house. Yep.
All right. Well, I don't want to hold you up because I know you got to get out there and buy houses in Pennsylvania today. But Jerry, I really appreciate your being my guest today.
Well, Jim, hey, man, it was great catching up with you. I hadn't talked with you in a while now.
I know, too long.
Yeah.
Hey, if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to do that? Like,
best way is
maybe somebody's interested in investing with you or something else. What's the best way to do it?
Yeah, just call me on the phone. I'm old school. I like talking on the phone. My number is 814-720-1625. Call me anytime. I love talking real estate, as you can tell. I can tell you do too, But yeah, just call me anytime at 814-720-1625.
I love the 814. It's like going back home. I was 716 right there near Lake Erie as well. And 814, I had a lot of friends who lived there. So it's really nice to go back home for a few minutes, Jerry, and think about some of my heritage from 20 years ago as well. So congratulations on everything. Job well done. You've niched down and you have made it happen. And it's been exciting to hear you tell your story with so much joy today. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
All right, everybody. That's it for the Real Estate Success Podcast today. I hope you've really enjoyed this show and I'm certain that you've got a lot of takeaways today. This was a good teaching show today. I think you gave a lot of help to a lot of people, Jerry, and you're really a great giver. So thanks for being with me.
Thanks again, Jim.